With so many brawl comps on the ground, one might think that a character with a jetpack could see a lot of great use in this meta, and I think you'd be right. Not only have I been taking advantage of picking Pharah whenever I can in ranked matchmaking for Season 10, I've seen her a lot in the Overwatch League as well, one patch removed from us of course, but nevertheless, in a world where Brigitte, Rein, Zarya are all getting picked, Pharah looks incredible. And today we're going to break down the things that are making her strong, things to look out for, and her weaknesses as well. What makes her strong? Well, number one, I think a lot of people have forgotten how to play against Pharah, and even after about 2 years of the game being out, I still hear people say Zarya is good against Pharah, and I gotta tell you, that couldn't be more Pharah from the truth. I think the reason why people say that is that they imagine Pharah non-stop spamming like Junkrat towards the tanks, Zarya getting full charge all the time, and then you can win the brawl from there. But no good Pharah plays that way, and you shouldn't play that way either. And when you play Pharah correctly, Zarya's team gets countered really hard by Pharah, because the concussion blast can relocate the death ball wherever you want them. You can avoid all of the damage mitigation from the barrier and the bubbles just by timing your shots and also holding spacebar a little bit to get an angle above them. And also, by the way, none of their attacks do anything to you while you're flying in the sky, whereas D.Va is a legitimate threat at all times to just fly into the sky, go full Tom Cruise Top Gun on you, and take you out. Unless you're hovering too low to the ground, you can sort of just wave at Rein Zarya as you go kill their team. Also, the pacing of Pharah's shots, how she shoots, how she moves, it's very easy to avoid Zarya bubbles, even if they're perfectly placed. It's another reason why you're not seeing as much Zarya as you might think in the Overwatch League. In matchmaking, people think you can play Zarya on every map, but realistically, if you have to contest DPS threats at range or on high ground, you always have to consider Winston D.Va, because the other tanks do nothing against Pharah. And as we've kind of discussed in the mistakes everyone makes against Brigitte video, your tank players don't have to do a lot when Pharah's in the sky, so the fact that Zarya does or doesn't have charge is kind of irrelevant because you can circumnavigate that fight entirely, and Pharah can go take the duels she wants. But as the Pharah player, it's important to note what that actually means for you in this meta. I think the most important thing to remember is to not get suckered into fighting the tanks too much, because with a lot of powerful healing, Pharah's damage can get very inefficient very quickly. Instead, you want to be looking out to make impact plays with your conch blast or hitting 2 directs in a row to delete squishies. That's how you take over the fight. It's the mobility and the control of the engagement that Pharah is so strong at, not her spam. She's far more analogous to Hanzo running up a wall to get angles and meaningful damage down, rather than Junkrat who blindly spams all the time. And when you combined really good Pharah play with the good tank play that sidesteps any of the Brigitte W mouse 1 action that we've kind of talked about in recent videos, you have a really deadly combination. And there's actually more things going for Pharah than you might think. She was already a really solid character, especially on Koth maps in the dive meta, because she was more or less even against the dive characters, Genji or Tracer. It's a pretty much fair fight. The only problem is against a bunch of the other maps, it would be really hard for Pharah to keep up with the amount of DPS and lethality and quickness that they can bring to the table. But now we're in an era of Brigitte, either the team running the full meta comp or just having the option to switch to a Brigitte as a DPS slot can just go off and completely nullify any Tracer from carrying a game. What this has done is created a slowing down effect of the entire game at all levels of play, I think. And when that's the case, and everything isn't incredibly fast where you're trying to compete with which Tracer can kill the entire team faster, the more methodical, precise playstyle of Pharah, who controls the engagement slowly and looks for these burst kills, is a lot more effective. Now, I think we'll be seeing a lot more Pharah in Stage 4 of the Overwatch League, but of course, they don't have the new Hanzo, which is the big elephant in the room in matchmaking right now. He is going to be getting a nerf at some point, but for now, he's the strongest DPS there is, which kind of creates an issue for thinking outside the box with any other non-direct meta DPS characters, and for Pharah, it could be quite difficult to match up with the amount of devastating burst DPS that he can put out, because it kind of gets you into the issue like against a really good Tracer in the dive meta. There's no way to just straight up stop Hanzo from carrying the game unless you just go at him and duel him. Luckily, Pharah does have the mobility to kind of do that, but the fight is a lot more fair than it used to be, with his arrows being much more reliable and fast, and Storm Arrow, of course, getting him some free damage as well. Pharah's rockets feel a lot more careful, like a special delivery package that you have to think really hard about where they're going to be in the next 3 seconds, whereas Hanzo is nearly hit scan, making for his bursts of impact to be a lot more reliable. So that's kind of the only issue with considering picking Pharah in this meta, is that if your team doesn't have a Hanzo, it could be difficult as the Pharah player to outmatch the speed of his DPS output, and you might have to just mirror it yourself. But I think slowly over time, people will start to realize how strong dive still is. Can you believe I'm saying that? Yes, I mean it. You can still play dive comp, especially on maps where you can exploit the high ground and avoid the Zarya brawl comps in order to get your Pharah in position. And once you do that, then Pharah looks like a lot stronger pick over Hanzo, because she can coordinate to go in very aggressive with the tanks, whereas he more or less is stuck in a position, despite the fact that he has lunge and can get away and get quite a distance running up a wall and dodging. He can't really escape a coordinated pursuit with the clean engagement with the Winston in front and the Pharah following up. And keeping in mind, all of this mobility can directly dodge any of the brawl comp on the ground. Truly, mobility still is really strong in the game due to the options it gives you to make plays. And although we used to think Tracer as kind of the queen of making those mobility outposition plays where she could go on a flank, pull attention towards her, pressure an objective, do all sorts of shenanigans almost all on her own, Pharah has kind of taken the reins in that regard, where she needs to be going for aggressive angles to find the squishies. But what's even better for this meta, she can move the tanks. And when you're playing against the brawl comp that wants to play all huddled up together, knocking the Rein towards your team to easily eat him alive, or separating the Hanzo or a healer, can really set up for Pharah to shine. Other things that you're going to want to look out for is playing without the proper supports to help you. A lot of people want to play Brigitte, Ana. It seems to me some people find them a bit more fun to play than Mercy, but Mercy is an insane hero right now. Getting picked a ton in Owl still, and the value that she brings Pharah, and in general, I think it's been criminally underrated right now, because as we've kind of mentioned in previous videos, your tanks don't have to hard engage the Brigitte brawl comp. That's doing what they want. Instead, you send a Pharah up in the sky to get angles with damage amped rockets. It can get past the shield, the splash damage starts to get lethal, especially against clumped up enemies, and if you have the right supports, it's really going to cause headaches for the enemy team, because I think everybody knows what happens when the Pharah is playing really well. The team starts pointing to the DPS, and then they switch to medium range hit scan characters like McCree or something, who can't do any damage to her at far range. She's still raining death from above for miles away in the sky, when in reality, the enemy really needs to swap off the brawl comp, go on to like a Mercy Widow, a pharmacy of their own, or especially a diva who can harass her in the sky. And due to all this, I think you really can exploit some free SR this season by playing the Rocket Queen, who really disrupts a lot of the characters people are assuming to be meta right now. So, are you excited that you're able to dust off the old rocket launcher again? Or did you find Pharah more annoying than playing against Tracer? I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of her moving forward, so be sure to check out the How to Counter Pharah videos to brush up on some of those techniques. If you enjoyed the video, guys, be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because we upload each and every day, so you're going to want to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, Overwatch League predictions, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.